Hello everyone, welcome to my channel ASP.NET Core, and today I'm going to teach you a class, or you can say the model, because I'm going to model first approach in this project, that is inventory management system and inventory management software. So first of all, just I'm going to discuss about the invoice or the bill, and you can say that invoice, an invoice bill or is a commercial document issued by a seller or a buyer related to the sales transaction and indicating the products quantities and agreed upon the basis of the price and the products or the services. On the behalf of this you can say on the behalf of this types of the things, you can just design the bill model like that. Bill id, bill number, I mean to say that invoice number, or you can say that is the bill number. And the next property is to like good received note id. It's an id uh, generated by the received on the behalf of the seller or the purchaser, you can say. So here we have a vendor do number, and the next property is to mention, that is the vendor invoice number, the vendor invoice number. Okay, so here we have lots of properties related to the invoice and the bill. So you can say that invoice or the bill is the payment terms are usually started on the invoice. So these may specify that the buyer has a maximum number of days to pay, and it is sometimes often offered as a discount if paid before the due date. So the buyer could have already paid for the product or the services listed on the invoice to avoid confusion and consequent unnecessary communications from the buyer to seller. Some seller clearly states in the large and the capital letters on the invoice where it has already been paid. So that is the invoice. So in this video tutorial, just you can say that these are the bill date, bill due date, and the bill type id. So these are the property you have to add in your bill or the invoice. So you can say that bill, it is a but you notice that the bill and the invoice are the different. So here I'm using like name, that is the bill name, that is related to the bill and the invoice number, and a good received note ID, that is the in the short terms, that is the GRN number, and vendor do number. You can take it here like that, vendor and the number. So and vendor delivery and vendor delivery order. Okay, and then the next one is vendor invoice number, bill date, bill due date, and the bill type id. So here we have a simple uh, model of a bill. You can take it in your invoice. Okay, so let's talk about what is the bill and the bill invoice. Okay, so these are the two terms in your sales and order or in inventory system. Basically, a invoice may contain like the word invoice, unique reference number, a date of the invoice, credit terms, tax amount, name and the contact details of the seller. But I can take some few fields in the bill. So you can take more fields if you have, or you can say that according to your user needs, according to the customer needs. So you can design the softwares, tax or company registration details, name and the contact details of the buyer, dates of the sending or delivery of the goods and the services, purchase order number, description of the products, unit price, products relevant if you have, total amount charge, the currency, payment terms, and lots of options if you have there to you can use it. So the next model you have to add into your project, that is the branch. And actually branch is related to your warehouse. You notice that. So branch is the supermodel of your warehouse. So here you can take branch id, that is the common terms, or you can say that common fields. You can take it into your project, that is the branch id, branch name, a description, currency id, what currency accept by the branch, and the address of the branch. And you can take like pin code, you can say that full address of the branch. So you notice that I'm going to design a detailed description of your inventory. So I'm taking right now, here we have lots of options for the branch. So here I'm using, okay, so city, state, zip code, phone, email, and contact person in the branch. Okay, so here I'm using lots of properties related to the branch. So branch name is required in a branch. Okay, the next one is currency ID, so related to the currency accepted by the branch. So here you can display the property that is currency only, and address, city, state is well good. And if you want to change the zip code in the form of display, then you can you do it. But right now I'm not using like that. So display is a name, name properties, that is the contact person. Okay, so everything is good. Okay, so bill is the bill type ID is what? So just I'm going to add design a new class related to the build type, or so here I'm using, oops, just add a new extension method in your Visual Studio, that is add a new file. Okay, so here we have a build type. So the first thing is to add, that is the build type ID. Okay, and the next one is description, you can take it, and the next one is the name property of the build type name. Okay, so here we are using build type name. The next one is to take description, that is the detailed, you can say. So here we have build type. Okay, now the next model to design in your project, that is the warehouse. And what about the warehouse? First of all, just I'm going to add or you can say that just I want to discuss about the warehouse. So in computing areas, a data warehouse, or you can say also known as the enterprise data warehouse, is a system used for reporting and data analysis. But warehouse is related to the storing goods and the services, storing goods like that. So a typical extract, or you can say that the store or current and historical data in one single place, that are used for creating an analytical report for working throughout the enterprise. So warehouse is a lots of terms to use. Warehouse, source system that provide the data to the warehouse or the mart, data integration technology and process that are needed to be prepare and data for the use also. So at lots of example of the warehouse. So here I'm using warehouse. Why? Because every branch have a warehouse. So warehouse ID, warehouse name, branch ID is also mentioned right here, and the description of the warehouse. So that is the terms of the warehouse. And so the next class is application user class, because I have already a app user, but just right now I'm going to add application user, because application user is used for a login purpose only. It's not related to the any scenario of the project, but I'm going to add the roles, and I'm going to add claims. So just I'm going to add application user, that is inherited with the identity user, and that is already added. And the next one is the vendor. Just I'm going to discuss about the vendor and what is the vendor. If you talk about the vendor, a vendor is a party in the supply chain that makes goods and the services available to companies or the consumers. The term vendor is typically used to describe the entity that is paid for the goods provided rather than the manufacturer of the good itself. So a vendor can operate as both a supplier or a goods of the manufacturer. So lots of work do by the vendor. Okay, so here I'm using a vendor class, and in this class just I am going to add vendor ID, vendor name, vendor type ID, and types of the vendor you can just define into your project. So here I'm using, so actually just I'm going to add how vendor works. Vendor actually B2B types and B2C types, that is the business to customer and business to business also mentioned in the inventory. So how vendor works? A vendor, also known as a supplier, or is a person or the business entity that sells something. A vendor generally finds somewhere to purchase their goods and the services after acquiring the necessary items. So actually vendor works, and here I'm using a vendor profile like a vendor ID, vendor name, vendor type ID, address, city, state, a zip code, and the next one is the phone, or you can say the contact. So if you know about the vendors, and if you know about how vendor works, you know that vendor, after acquiring the necessary items, the vendor markets and sells their ware through whichever method works best for them. For example, if it is a food truck, the vendor ensure there are enough supplier to make items on the menu and feed an expected number of customers. Then drives to a target area and begins selling foods. So these are the vendors. So if you want to display the correct form in the class, just I want to separate that vendor um, properties to in the UI, how to display that vendor class in the UI. So just I'm going to add a display property. So vendor or supplier, you know that everything about. Just I'm going to discuss about vendor types. A lots of actually options of the vendor. We have vendor like the business to business. Many vendor acts business to business sales organization that's provide part of the product to another business to make an end product. For example, if you have a small business or the widgets out of the gadgets, you did need to find vendor with all the gadgets you need. So you might find one vendor that has them all, or would need to be find multiple vendors to assemble your widgets. So these are the vendors and business to business. And if you want to know about the vendor types, so you can just define the class, vendor type ID, vendor type name, and the description. And if you know about the which types of the vendor, you can just include it into your project. That is the manufacturer, that is the retailer, that is the wholesaler, and the service provider. So these are the vendor types. So you can take it. And in this, just I'm going to add only the basic terms in this video. Just I'm going to add models. So here we have, and also we will maintain the user profile. And you know that everyone want to maintain our profile, and everyone want to log in, like customer also log in, business to business entities also log in into the system, and admin also logged in, and vendor also logged in. So user profile is the man important role performed in the project. So you can say that user profile ID is the primary key in the table, and the first name, last name, and the email, that is the identity of the user. And user can, you can say that, suggest, you can just guess anything in the system, that is the vendor, customer, etc. And the password and the confirm password also. And also you can take a user profile in the application user also. If you want to use identity instead of identity, you can take your class like that user profile. And profile picture, you can take it, that is the good idea to design your system. And the next one is a string app user ID, because app user is also there. So that actually that class is mapped with this user profile class. Okay, so everything is fine. Now the next class in the system, that is uh, customer, you can take. Okay, so just I'm going to discuss about the customer, because lots of customer existing in the project. So now just maintain a customer class. And what about the customer class? Customer, you can say a customer is an individual or a business that purchase another company's goods or services. Customer are important because they are drives revenues. Without them, business cannot continue to exist. You notice that all business compete with other companies to contact, or you can say that attract customers, either by aggressively advertising their products, by lowering price to expand their customer bases, or by developing unique products and experience that customers love. Okay, so that is the customer, and it's a important role performed in the project. So here I'm using also maintain a customer profile, like a customer model, like customer ID, customer name, customer type ID, and what type of the customer you can exist into the system, address, city, state, zip code, and phone or email, and the contact person. Okay, so only the customer name is required in this session, and also phone is also required, but you can take it right now if you want. Customer type ID, and what types of the customer you can take right now. uh, First of all, understanding the customer, which types of the customer, like customer versus consumer is also different. Because the term customer and consumer are nearly synonyms and are often used interchangeably. However, the existing is slightly difference. Consumer are defined as individual or business that consumes or use goods and services, but customer are the purchaser within the economy that buy goods and services, and they can exist as a consumer or alone as a customer. So these are the differences. And if you can take customer type ID, you can in the project. So here I'm using zip code and phone, email, contact person. Okay, so well, this is the model classes, and continue with the project with other model classes, because it's a large project. You can say that it's a large software project. I'm going to design in the ASP.NET Core. So so thank you guys for watching this video, and keep watching also other videos. And the next class is the customer type. Okay, so like the vendor type ID also mentioned in as a customer, you can take it. So customer type is what type of the customer in the in the uh, in the project you mentioned it. Okay, so customer type ID, string customer type, name, and description, you can take it. So so guys, very well done. And lots of model classes actually exist, but right now I am tired, because 20 minutes is more enough to work with this project. Or you notice that each and every steps just I'm going to design, and I'm going to discuss with you each and every steps. So wait for some times. I will design the whole project inventory management system in ASP.NET Core very well soon. So the base and the basic terms is that product. And what about the product? Okay, so product, you can say uh, product is a item often, you can say product is an item of offered for a sale. A product can be service or an item. It can be physical or an virtual of the cyber form. Every product is made at a cost, and each is sold at the price. The price that can be charged depend on the market. Okay, so that is the product. And here you can take uh, some fields related to the products, like product ID, product name, product code also mentioned, barcode of the product, description, product image, and manufacturer unit ID. That is, sorry, measuring unit ID. And product, you can say that product, the marketing and the segment that is targeted. Each product has a useful life after which it needs replacement, and a life cycle after which it has been be reinvented. Okay, so that is the product terms, and here I'm using product image, measure unit ID, buying price of the product, selling price of the product, and lots of property you can take in the product class, like the branch ID, like the currency ID. Uh, so so thank you guys for watching this video, and keep watching all other videos which is related to inventory. Just I'm going to design the whole project in the very well. Just I'm trying to do it completes soon, very well soon. So thank you guys for watching this, and don't forget, please subscribe my channel and also press the bell icon, and just got the notification as soon as possible if you press the bell icon. So thank you guys for watching.